Okay, screen is visible. Okay. So good morning to all. So just I will revise whatever we have studied in the previous lecture. So we have seen types of gearbox, in that sliding mesh, then constant mesh and synchro mesh gearbox. Afterwards, we have seen overdrive, then hydraulic torque converter, then epicyclic and planetary gear tail. Now, next component in the automobile, and which one is the final component, or we can say the final stage of the transmission system. So, which is called as final drive. So this final drive has to perform two functions. One is to provide torque multiplication, and another one is to provide transmission at 90 degree. So already we have seen engine is producing power, which is working as a prime mover through the clutch. That power is given to the gearbox. After the gearbox, there is propeller shaft, and that propeller shaft is rotating, and it provides power along the axis of the vehicle. Now that power we need to divert at 90 degree so that wheels can rotate and vehicle can propel from one place to the another. So basically this assembly, which consists of a bevel pinion which is attached to the propeller shaft, and crown wheel which is mounted on one of the half axle, this unit is called as a final drive. So why it is called as a final drive? Because it is final stage in the transmission system. So thereafter, there is no reduction in the speed. So for example, if we are going to take or consider the speed of the propeller shaft as 500 RPM, and with this combination, we can get speed up to 50 RPM. So for this crown wheel, what it indicates? It has increased the torque by reducing the speed. So bevel pinion, so whatever bevel pinion, it has less number of teeth as compared to this crown wheel, which is mounted on the drive axle. So this reduction is required to get larger torque so that vehicle can propel from one place to the another. And again, as this combination is having bevel teeth, which enable this device or these components to divert power at 90 degree. So these two functions, or to perform these two functions, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So to perform these two functions, final drive is provided. So already at the start of this transmission system, we have seen there is requirement to transmit power at 90 degree. There is requirement to reduce the speed or to increase the torque. so that wheels can rotate. So to fulfill these two requirements, a component which is provided for the automobile and that component or that assembly is called as a final drive. So with respect to this final drive, there are two types. So whatever gear type in that, this one is bevel gears and another one is this worm and wormapil. But in general, the final drive can have different type. One can have chain type, and that chain type already you can see in the bikes. So chain and sprocket assembly that will enable to increase the torque and that will help to propel the bike, or you can see the one assembly that is also chain type in the bicycle. So axle, so with that axle and at the last we have seen that chain and sprocket arrangement. So such type of final drive is required in case of the automobile. So this mainly the type which has been used, that is shown on the slide. This is again worm and wormapil type, another type of the final drive. So this worm, it is mounted on the propeller shaft, and with the help of this wormapil we can have diversion of the power at 90 degree. So what will be the advantage with respect to this previous one? So if we can get the speed reduction up to in the ratio 10:1 with respect to this worm and wormapil, we can have larger speed reduction, and that too in 15:1. So 1.5%, so more than 100% reduction can be get in this worm and wormapil type final drive. Only this has been used previously. Now we are only using this final drive that in the form of gear type. Then next device. So screen is visible. Just I want to confirm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next device, and this is also is provided in the automobile to fulfill the requirement to have relative speed for two wheels on the live axle. So generally in the automobile, so basically there are two axles. One is dead axle and another one is, just I will add one slide so that I can explain. So that is the important one. So there are two axles. So this is the front axle. This one is rear axle. So you can consider in this direction vehicle is moving. So this is front axle. So here I will show one wheel. Here I will show one wheel. Okay. Again, two more wheels on the rear axle. Okay. So this way and here engine and drive is given to this rear wheels. So this is front engine rear wheel drive. Now in this case, this front axle is called as a dead axle. So wheels are mounted on the axle, but this axle is not powered. So dead axle, what is the function of dead axle? It enables wheels to rotate freely. So it is not powered. So sometimes such types of questions may be asked in the interview or maybe for your oral. So dead axle, which is not powered, and this axle, whatever rear axle, it is powered one to propel the vehicle. So that's why this axle, we are going to call it as a live axle. So I have connected the charger. So are you getting what is difference between live and dead axle? Somebody should respond.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So live axle is powered one and dead axle is not provided with the power. So whenever the wheels on the live axle are going to rotate, the same speed these wheels have to rotate. Just whatever RPM these wheels are rotating or wheels mounted on the live axle are going to rotate with the same speed, these front wheels are going to be rotating. So this is about dead and live axle. And we have taken one example, that is front engine rear wheel drive. In continuation with the same, now we have to see what is the difference here. Now suppose the vehicle is going to take turn in this direction, that is left turn. Now these wheels are powered one, are mounted on the axles which are connected to the propeller shaft, and this propeller shaft is connected to the engine. So engine is via different transmission elements, it is connected to the rear axle, that is the live axle. Now suppose vehicle is going to take turn in this direction. What it indicates, this wheel has to cover less distance, this wheel has to cover the more distance. Now in the same time, if both wheel has to reach at one particular location, we need to change the speed. So this will have to cover less distance as compared to this one. So it has to rotate with larger speed and it has to rotate with less speed. So how to compensate this? So for that, we require to have one device with which we can manage difference in the speed, or in other words, we can call it as to provide the relative speed between the two wheels. So we have seen this one is the final, right? And suppose this pinion is rotating with 500 RPM. So this will rotate with 50 RPM. And now if both the wheels are going to rotate with the 50 RPM, then what will happen? So there may be slipping of the wheels and there will be skidding of the vehicle. So how to avoid this? So for that, we need to provide one such arrangement, and that such arrangement we are going to call it as a differential. So for that reason, the rear axle of the vehicle in which engine is provided at the front and drive is given at the rear, we need to have two half axles, or in other words, it is called as a half shafts. Okay, so previously we have seen, just I will change the color. Okay, so this one is the final drive. You can see this is the final drive that we have seen, and the same speed is given to wheels which are connected at the end, Okay, so you can see this. Are you getting? Hello? Sachin? So please unmute. Okay, am I audible? Am I audible? Somebody should respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. So this one is the final drive, and to get the difference in the speed, to have proper negotiation of the turn. So on the turn, the left hand wheel has to cover the less distance if we are going to consider left turn, and right wheel, which is mounted on the live axle, it has to cover the more distance. So this way, the difference in the distance and the same will require to have more difference in the speed. So accordingly, left wheel has to rotate with less speed and right wheel has to rotate with the more speed to get to reach the required destiny, or to negotiate the turn without skidding. So for that reason, one epicyclic gear train. So this one is the application of epicyclic gear train. So you should remember. So now let us see how differential unit is constructed, how various parts are provided. So this is bevel pinion, which is connected at the end of propeller shaft. This bevel pinion is meshed with the crown wheel, which is mounted on one of the half axles. So already, to differentiate the speed, we need to split the axle. We need to split the rear live axle, and accordingly it is splitted. So the rear axle is splitted in two parts. This one is one, this is the second one, and this crown wheel is mounted on half axle, and this crown wheel is free to rotate on this rear axle, Remember that on this crown wheel there is one cage which is mounted. So this is called as a cage. So actually it is part of the differential. So sometimes it is called as a differential cage, or differential housing. So this cage, it is having one shaft. So with respect to this figure, we can call it as a vertical shaft on which two planet pinions, which also free to rotate about this vertical shaft. This is another planet pinion. So this is one, this one is second. Based on how much torque needs to be transmitted, the number may be increased. It is for ordinary application, maybe 2. Again, to have large torque transmission, it can be increased. To have good design, it may be 4 planet pinions, but they are going to have mesh with the sun gear or the center gear. So once again, I will repeat. This is bevel pinion is in mesh with the crown wheel. This crown wheel is free to rotate. And on this crown wheel, there is cage. Now cage is rotating. On this vertical shaft, pinion is provided. This planet pinion is provided. These are also free to rotate. And these planet pinions are in mesh with sun gear, which is rigidly connected to the half axle. This is rigidly connected to this right half axle. So to rotate the rear axles, these sun gears have to rotate. These sun gears have to rotate. So you can check this figure on the right side. This one is the typical 3-dimensional view. This one is the sun gear. This is half shaft. This one is the sun gear. This one is the half shaft. So these sun gears have to rotate to propel the wheels or to rotate the wheels, so that vehicle will have the forward motion or reverse motion. So you can see the another figure. So this we are going to study with respect to how differential is in action. But you can, for time being, you can consider these are the sun gear. These are the sun gears. So these have to rotate to propel the vehicle, and these are the pinions. So that crown wheel and the pinion is not shown in this figure. So understood, this crown wheel is free to rotate. This planet pinions are also free to rotate, but these sun gears are rigidly connected to the axle. So to rotate or to propel the vehicle, these sun gear have to rotate, so that vehicle will have to move in the forward direction. So are you getting construction, how it is constructed? Understood, Sachin? So somebody can respond.
Yes, sir, understanding.
Okay, good. So this is again 3-dimensional view. So, but it is somewhat complicated. You can relate a component which has been shown in the left hand side figure. So just I will connect this for your understanding. Okay. Right. So names are given. So okay. Now how it works. So for that also I will draw some of the figures. Okay. Now this is the front axle. This one is rear axle. Now, you should consider that when vehicle is moving in a straight direction. So this is the first case. Then second case, vehicle is negotiating left turn and vehicle is negotiating right turn. Now, when vehicle is moving or just running in a straight direction, so in that case, what will happen? So already we have seen the construction in detail. So when vehicle is moving in a straight direction, so for example, just a timing, I will take one example with respect to the RPM. I will write here 2000 RPM. And with this arrangement, we can get gauge speed or this crown wheel RPM as a 200 RPM. So what it indicates? It indicates that 10:1. So this much reduction we got. Now this crown wheel, for this crown wheel, we have provided the cage. Now this cage is going to rotate with 200 RPM. So this is half axle on which this is freely rotating. So it means that when crown wheel is going to rotate, axle is not going to rotate. So it is freely rotating on the axle. But when cage is going to rotate, as cage on the cage, planet pinions, and these planet pinions are connected to sun gear, and this sun gear is connected to this half axle. When sun gear is going to rotate, this axle is going to rotate. That means this 200 RPM is speed of the crown wheel. It is speed of the cage. And whenever vehicle is moving in the forward direction, in that case, this crown wheel, cage, then this planet pinion, and this sun gear, they are going to rotate as a unit. They are going to rotate as a unit. So this crown wheel, this cage, these planet pinions, they are not going to rotate about their own axis because vehicle is moving in a straight direction. There is no difference in the distance which these wheels has to cover. So basically, whenever the vehicle is moving in a forward direction, so whatever cage speed of 200 RPM, which we have considered as an example, that is given to the rear axle. That is given to the rear axle. But now when vehicle is having turn in any direction, the second case, so we can take the second example. So we will take only left turn or right turn. So whatever example shown or the differential action shown, that example we will take. So now consider this one is the rear wheel. So I will draw somewhat smaller figure. This is front wheel. Okay. And now we can consider vehicle is taking right turn. Vehicle is taking right turn. Or give me 1 minute. I will draw. This will be better. Okay. Now suppose it is the right turn. Then you can see this is the arc and this one is the arc which this wheel has to cover. So this is outer wheel. This one is inner wheel. This is inner wheel. This is outer wheel. So for the front wheels, as they have to just rotate freely on the axle, there is no issue with respect to the skidding. But these rear wheels which are mounted on the live axle, they will have a trouble if vehicle is negotiating the turn at higher speed. At that time, this differential comes into the action. Now let us consider this figure. So now I will write the value, whatever we have considered, which is the speed of the cage, which is the speed of the crown wheel. Okay. Now this one is the inner wheel. So I will mark here I, and this one is the outer wheel. So I will mark here only O. So these are the wheels which are mounted on the rear axle, that is live axle. So whenever vehicle is negotiating the turn in this direction, this is inner wheel, this is outer wheel. It has to cover the less distance, it has to cover the more distance at the same time. So at the same time, they have to negotiate the turn. One has to cover less distance, one has to cover the more distance. So how to compensate that? Now differential comes into the action. So for time being, you can consider the cage speed is 200 RPM, and suppose this has to rotate with less RPM, and for time being I will write it is rotating with 180 RPM, means 20 RPM slower than the cage speed, and this has to rotate 220 RPM with respect to the gauge speed. With respect to the gauge speed. So just I will write properly. So 1 minute. $200, or here I will write 200, and here 180, and here 220. Okay, so 200 is the gauge speed already, and we can call it as a 100% differential gauge speed. 100% differential gauge speed. What is value for that? 200 RPM. So whatever speed we have taken as an example, and this is rotating with 90% of the gauge speed. So 90% of this is 180, and 110% of this 200 is 220. Now, if we are going to consider average of these two speeds, what we are going to get? So 220 plus 180, that is again 400, divide by 2, we can get this 200 RPM, and that is nothing but the differential gauge or gauge speed. So whatever speed available at the gauge, that we are providing to the wheels, and that to be in relative manner. So if one will rotate with 180 RPM, another will rotate with 220 RPM. So whatever reduction of the speed in the inner wheel, that will be added in the outer wheel. So in this way, there is relative speed, relative RPMs of these rear wheels. So schematically, it is shown in the slide. If you are observing this figure properly, you can see this is arrow which is having less length, and this is a larger or longer arrow. It indicates that this wheel is having more speed. This side half axle is having more speed. So basically the gauge speed, that is not going to be changed. So whatever speed of the wheels, that is going to be changed with respect to this one and the other. So how to increase the speed? For that, these planet pinions are provided. Now let us see. So you can see here, this one is the planet pinion, this is planet pinion, this one is the sun gear, this one is the sun gear. So I will draw one figure how the speed is going to be increased. So we have to see. So just I will draw one figure. This one is sun gear, this one is sun gear, this is planet gear, this one is planet gear. Now this planet gear, so you can see here we have seen 210, sorry, 220 RPM, here 180 RPM. So now to give more speed for this sun gear, this planet is going to rotate in this direction, and this will rotate in this direction. So these are going to rotate about their own axis. So you can see this figure. So this arrow you can see in this figure as well. So to provide more rotation to the sun gear, this pinion is going to rotate in the helping direction, and this will rotate in opposite direction. But in turn, this side sun gear will have to rotate. So this is the sun gear. This will rotate like this, and we are going to provide a pinion, and that will help to rotate in the same direction, and that to have higher speed. So this arrangement will enable to increase speed of one axle, and decrease the speed of the other axle. So, and this one is the schematic figure with respect to the differential action on the turn. So differential is in action whenever negotiating the turn, and basically for the vehicle it is always in the action. So why I am saying that? Because whenever vehicle is moving in the straight direction, but whatever surface on which wheels are running, that is not same for left hand side wheel as well as right hand side wheel. So there are irregularities in the roads. What it means? So the road may be uneven. What is meaning of uneven? So there is bounce and one wheel which is rotating, which is at the right side. So this is for the left wheel, and wheel at the right, it is having plain road, not like this. Don't consider this. So this will also increase distance which has to cover by the left or right wheel. So both the wheels has to cover different distances at the same time. Suppose at once there is bounce, that means that has to move over the arc, which will increase the distance which has to be covered by the wheel, that particular wheel. So all the times maximum 99.99 it is in the action. So why it is required? So to provide the differential speed or relative speed for the drive or wheels which are mounted on the rear axle. Okay. So are you understanding? Am I audible? Am I audible? Sachin?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next one. So whatever the final drive and the differential. So we have seen what is its construction, how many components are required, how relative speed can be provided. Now, one important thing which this rear axle has to do, and that is nothing but it has to bear the driving thrust, it has to bear the weight of the vehicle. So we have seen such differential or the final drive required a big housing. So you might have seen a big housing on the rear axle. So it is having more weight as number of components are more. Now we are going to see the construction and types of rear axle. So power is provided with the help of the engine that is given to the propeller shaft via gearbox. Then propeller shaft is connected to the final drive and the axles are rotating. At the same time, these axles have to bear the load. They have to provide the driving thrust and whatever load of the vehicle. So based on that, how the rear axles, they are floating. Sometimes it is half floating, sometimes it is 3/4 floating, and sometimes it is fully floating axle with the flange. So float means free. There is nothing, no load on the axle. So based on how it is constructed, so there are different methods to whatever load of the vehicle, whatever thrust that wheels have to provide, so that the vehicle will have to propel. So first function of the rear axle is to carry the load of the vehicle and to rotate the wheels and transmit the power. So this is the function of the rear axle. So it has to carry the load. Now, basically, if you are going to see these three axles, so one is half floating, second one is 3/4 floating, and third one is fully floating axle. So if axle has to rotate only, it doesn't has to take the load, it doesn't has to take any thrust, doesn't has to provide any thrust, in that case we are going to call it as a fully floating axle with flange. So for heavy vehicles, such fully floating axles are provided. So to get a larger torque, so whatever axle has to perform only single duty, and that is nothing but to rotate only. So whatever in the vehicles which are having rear wheel drive, so that already we have seen, front wheels are mounted on the dead axle and rear wheels are mounted on the live axle. So with respect to this, you can see that this axle is floating in between differential or the final drive, and at the one side there is wheel. So in between that final drive or the differential and the wheel, it has to float, it has to rotate, whether it is only rotating, whether it is partly taking load, whether it is semi loaded, partly taking load and partly rotating. So performing work for fulfilling two requirement, that is semi floating. So only partially taking the load, that is nothing but the 3/4, and fully floating means axle is not taking any load, it will only rotate. So that type we are going to call it as a fully floating. So you can check this another figures, and then we'll check the figures on the previous slide. So this is half floating. You can see half floating, and here it is mentioned weight supported by axle, axle subject to both bending and torque. That means it is going to take the load, because of that there will be bending stress, and there it has to transmit the torque, so that vehicle is going to propel. So you can see here single bearing, here it is single bearing, and on that there is axle, and on this axle leaf spring or suspension springs are provided. Then second type, that is 3/4 floating. So simultaneously you can see this. So this we have seen. This is the half floating. This one is the axle casing. Load of the vehicle via leaf spring. It is provided to which will it is given to this axle casing, and via axle casing it is given to the axle. So weight supported by the axle. Now second case, that is 3/4 floating. Here you can see axle shaft subject only to torque except when rounding turns or on roads that are not level. So partially it is going to take care of the thrust whenever vehicle is not moving on the leveled road or somewhat irregularities in the roads. So here you can see 3/4 floating, how hub is mounted. So bearing, here it is bearing. So wheel can freely rotate on the casing. So axle casing. So this is 3/4 floating. And last one, you can see that weight supported entirely by the housing. Weight supported entirely by the housing. So whatever casing, axle casing, that supports the weight, that means there is no load on the axle. So axle shaft subjected only to torque. So it has to transmit the torque, and that will enable vehicle to propel in forward or the reverse direction. So you can see that this type of construction, this axle has to transmit the torque. At the same time, it has to support the weight. Here 3/4 floating, more than this, partially supports the weight, and there is only floating for the rear axle. So that's why it is called as a fully floating. So vehicle, light motor vehicles, this is the type which is used. This we can say for the tempos, and this is for the buses and the trucks. So for heavy vehicles, fully floating axle is used. So if we need to transmit the torque as well as we need to provide the strength to carry the load, the size of axle is going to be increased. So in order to avoid that, such types we can have difference in the loading and the torque that can be accommodated with the help of such types. So we can't make larger axle or axle having larger diameter, and that is required for bearing the load. Okay. Should I stop?